On behalf of the Northgate graduating class of 2010, the Northgate Parent Faculty Club, and honored guests, I would like to welcome Dr. Gonzalez and his family.
Parents, honored guests, loved ones, family members, class of 2010. Life is about moments and our ability to create life's moments. In class, this is a moment. A moment is defined when we set our heart and our mind for a goal. We put our effort into it, we overcome adversity and the stressors involved, we cross the finish line, and we celebrate with our family and our loved ones, like we are tonight. Tonight's a night you will never forget. And when we have these moments, it's important to take in all of our senses of what's going on, to embrace what we're thinking, what we're feeling at this time, what we're smelling, what we're tasting, what we're hearing. For these are the moments that make life meaningful, enriched, and rewarding. And gang, you only have about a dozen of these in your lifetime. So take in this moment and experience this thing. I know a lot of you have probably heard, I understand this demographic here. I went to school here, very affluent, high expectations. Probably a lot of you have heard people say, you should graduate from high school and you should get a good job and should go to college and so forth. Class of 2010, I want you to do me a favor tonight. Don't should on yourself. I'd like to share a few moments with you, a few of my moments, and one of them happened about almost 30 years ago, about 100 yards from here in the south baseball field where Coach Dave Clark walked up to me and he told me I made the team. And this may not sound like a miraculous thing, but that same coach 3 weeks earlier had walked up to me on the first day of tryouts and said, you know, I like your aggressiveness from football, but your chances of making this team are slim and none. If I would have been discouraged, if I would have quit, I wouldn't have had my real moment. My real moment came on opening day when he had me in left field and batting cleanup. These moments that we have when we overcome adversity build on other moments. And my next moment I want to share was about 5 years later, my senior year in college, going through a physical that's mandated for our baseball team. And the trainer would not pass me because he found a lump. He told me I need to get cleared by a physician, and needless to say, that night I was having surgery. I had 2 surgeries, and after the second one, a middle-aged man walked into my room, and he introduced himself as an oncologist. And I asked him what that was, and he said a cancer specialist. And he went on to tell me that I had metastasized cancer that had gone to my lungs and my lymph nodes. And I later found out from the medical records that my prognosis was terminal. My moment occurred about 7 months later after losing about 75 pounds, sick on a daily basis, bald, lost all my hair, when I put on some music. And the music had a synthesizer, and the synthesizer came on, and at the same time the sun came into my room. And the song was called The Tower of Love. And as this synthesizer and the sun came into my room, I was overcome with the most euphoric, healing experience that I've ever had in my life. And it was a life-transforming moment for me that's hard to articulate, but it brought me to my knees, and I was shedding tears. And it was at that moment that I knew I was going to be okay. It was my affirmation that, you know, we're going to beat this thing. That moment when that sun came in, and I was enveloped by that just euphoric nirvana feeling, that I knew it. I knew I was going to be okay. And if I would have been discouraged, I wouldn't have had that moment. My next and final moment was about 8 years later, when I was mesmerized by the beauty of a woman. I was at my office and I had seen a tall, beautiful blonde woman go into this credit union, and I was deeply obsessed and intoxicated with this woman. I had to meet this woman. And unfortunately, the credit union was private, and you couldn't get in this credit union unless you remember. Well, I became resourceful and figured out that my affiliation with the hospital would let me to get into this credit union. And for the next 2.5 weeks, I spent trying to get into this teller's line, letting people go ahead, know I'm waiting for somebody, and sitting back and telling my family about this woman. And my family would say, why don't you just ask her out? And I'd say, I'm not even in a league. This woman is so beautiful. I got no shot at this woman. But one day, about the 3rd week of doing this, I finally got the guts to pull the trigger, and I was going to make it count. I was buying my first new nice car, lined up in front of the credit union, waiting for people, tell them to go ahead. I got her line. I went up. I did the transaction with sweaty palms. My heart was racing 100 miles a minute. And I asked her out, and to my surprise, she said, yeah. Now, the most miraculous part of this moment, it was her last day working there. 18 years later, ladies and gentlemen, my wife, Jamie. Jamie, stand up. Yeah. Whether it's a coach's comments, whether it's a medical prognosis, or whether it's the intimidation of the beauty of a person, it is so essential, class of 2010, that you follow your hearts. And I know that things have been difficult. I know there's been a lot of cynicism and, unprecedented time with our economy. But let me tell you something. Success is not about results. Success is about your approach. And if you approach life with love and faith and integrity and in purpose, you can't help but become a success. Your success is based on your approach. And this success is going to pave the way in your future to have other meaningful moments like you're having tonight. Congratulations, class 2010. Thank you for allowing me to share your moment.